Namaste, viewers. Welcome to Jaipur Dialogue USA, and I'm Vibhuti Jha once again. In the recent past, uh, actually, we know that many Pakistani terrorists or many terrorists in Pakistan were singled out and taken out. This was happening for a while now. And there is a constant opinion that Indian RAW agents are doing it. India is doing it. So there is a sudden uproar in the world around us that, oh my God, India is indulging in extra constitutional authority of killing people in Pakistan. I remember that. So my thought process today is let's talk about James Bond, Mission Impossible's Ethan Hunt, and raw agents. What do we learn from there? And this is a very important part. So before I start, please like, subscribe, and support our channel, and give your feedback. Tell us topics that you want us to talk about in a short manner. So here is my thought process on this. I always believe in learning and in learning from people around you. As the saying goes, wise people learn from other people's mistakes, fools by their own. So let's learn from what other people are doing around the world. So I have always maintained that the West has been absolutely outstanding in creating institutional framework and narratives for whatever they do. They create the narrative and everything is justified according to law, according to rules. So, James Bond movies, we all love it. And of late, Mission Impossible, Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise, brilliant movies. What do we learn from them? That James Bond has a license to kill, right? Provided by the British government to take out those who are against the Queen, King, or the country. That's eventually Bond always says for the King, for the Queen, or for the country, right? And to maintain global peace, harmony, and order. So, the James Bond, what he does in every movie, without exception, he kills or eliminates the global megalomaniac billionaire who acts as a villain to push his own agenda, right? That's what James Bond does, single handedly, or with the help of M, M1's, M's office. This is what is important. Let's look at Ethan Hunt. Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise has set up a fabulous enterprise and fabulous narrative of Ethan Hunt, the impossible mission force, the guy who is given a message, a 10-second message. If you accept this mission, this country will disavow you if you are found, if you get caught. They are also taught to commit suicide because they do not want to disclose. What is the purpose here? Deniability of the government, that they took an extraordinary measure. Actually, this statement is very common. Extraordinary times, extraordinary measures, right? There are things that people and the government cannot do, and therefore you set up extra constitutional authority hidden behind the garb of protecting the global world from megalomaniacs or the villains who want to control the scenario. Now we know this. It's a very interesting thing that James Bond and has done it since 1962 till now. Every 2 years, you have a James Bond movie in which the swashbuckling James Bond eliminates an evil. They identify a problem, they eliminate. And remember that all those megalomaniac billionaires, they have their own syndicate to do things. The syndicate is also referred to in Mission Impossible series of movies, right? You have seen that. They show you how James Bond uses suit and a tie and a jacket to fight the villains. You know the reason why? Because those suits are prepared with anti bullet mechanisms. They are also bulletproof vests and shirts, because that's what James Bond wears. That's why the suit is used in fights and everything else. So there is a deep thought that goes into that. Same is the situation with Mission Impossible, whether it is capturing uranium here or trading some element over there, it always, or catching a double agent and eliminating the evil. Extraordinary times, extraordinary measures. And they all do it for the welfare of mankind in the name of democracy, in the name of freedoms, right? But when India, supposedly, there is no evidence or proof of doing that, has been accused of by British newspapers and American newspapers of killing India's terrorists or India's enemies, taking extraordinary actions in extraordinary times with extraordinary measures. India is accused of denying human rights to those people who have perpetrated the crime against India. Think about it. How the narrative shift happens. This is what is important for every Indian to know. There was a recent, I believe, there was a recent conversation between senior Amit Shahji and one of the TV guys, who said Guardian is talking. The newspaper Guardian is talking about that India is killing Indian raw agents are killing Pakistan terrorists in Pakistan, and simple answer is, do you have any problem with that? This is very important, and that's where I always keep telling you and sharing my thought with you that the criminals and thugs take systematic advantage of the compassion of the society and the rule of law. It's very important to bear that in mind, because who are the people who are taking advantage of the rule of law? And India has to realize it's very heartening for me, particularly. I'm not for killings. I'm against people who take advantage of my way of life. And that's why I say India has to remember that Sri Ram always carried Dhanushvan with him. Remember that part. You have to protect and defend what is precious for you, what is prized for you. It is one thing to have Atithi Devo Bhava, great statement, great philosophy, wonderful thought to welcome the guests and treat them as godlike, because it could be that God Himself has walked in your house as a testing you as a person. That's our philosophy, that's our way of life. But to mistake barbarian at the gate who wants to cut your throat with Atithi, that's not wisdom. That is downright stupid. You have to know. And that's why it is important to indulge in the exercise of Purva Paksh and Shatru Bodh. Dono hi karne hain. We have to do both, time and again and again. Otherwise, what will happen is that people will take advantage of where you are. So this is critically important, that there are agents being taken, the elements of terror are being taken out in Pakistan. It is accused, or it is stated, that this government of Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shahji are taking this extraordinary measure to protect India, protect the country. So there are many James Bonds and Ethan Hunts operating in the world. We know that. We know that. There are contractors. The United States governments call them contractors. And remember that. I noticed this. Vivek Ramaswamy, during his presidential campaign, had said that the government must not, allow others to do what they themselves cannot do. Remember, that could lead to the end of James Bond and Ethan Hunt characters. Extraordinary times, extraordinary, but it's a very serious conversation. It's a very serious, because has been going on for all the time. You have to do certain extraordinary measures to take care of extraordinary events. That's the reason. That's the reason why United States, when they eliminated Osama bin Laden in Pakistan, they gave him a burial in ocean. You know why? there was no way that United States or the free democracies could have been able to prove with evidence that Osama bin Laden was responsible for 9/11. Think about it. It would have been impossible because Osama bin Laden was not in America. What he was doing, preaching or motivating his people to do what they did, was part of the freedom of speech. Remember that part. That's what is important to bear. Today, you are looking at, if you have been watching the news, United States is facing the call of death to America on US campuses by people who are claiming to be pro Hamas, pro Palestine, and everything else. Do you think that requires extraordinary measures? Is it an extraordinary thing that those people who are doing this are violating the very rule of law that gives them the freedom to do that? And it is very important to bear in mind as well that those people, the communists, the socialists, the Islamists, who do not allow you and I to talk freely about anything else about them, not to even ask a question, even to ask and make an inquiry, you are branded as phobic. Think about it. They are the ones who are using freedom as a tool to slam you and I. This is a very serious issue that needs to be talked about openly. It is absolutely, irritating, infuriating, and really stupid when people begin to talk about the deaths of the likes of Neha, who was brutally stabbed, or attack on Nupur Sharma, and many more, as oh, it was their fate, they chose to do that, not realizing that that was a deliberate way to lure and tempt somebody. It's a tragic element that Indian girls fall for it. It's very tragic. But some people mentioned this matter, and then some people objected. Don't spread hate. Can you believe that? This is what we have to begin to become aware of. Extraordinary times, extraordinary measures. So without any evidence, if terrorists in Pakistan are being eliminated in the James Bond and Ethan Hunt style, hey, more power to them because they are not using the tools of democracy to settle scores with us. With these thoughts, as I always say, Satyameva Jayate, for truth to triumph, you got to stand for it, however bitter and harsh it might be. Thank you.